Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Fundamentalist Fails, where, yes, we're putting the fun back in fundamentalism because dang doesn't need it. But here we are, Fundamentalist Fails, where we are looking at the wackiest and weirdest fundamentalists. And today, I had to do you, Donny. If you're watching this, I had to do you. I had to. Why am I doing Donny? Why am I doing Donny? And that sounds awful. I do admit that. I've decided to be, this is standing for truth. If you're unaware of standing for truth, he really is a low tier apologist who fancies himself a science communicator. But he's not communicating science as in, relaying the scientific consensus to the public. Oh, no, 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 no. He's relaying the pseudoscience of young Earth creationism and expecting everyone to believe that he knows more than the consensus of experts in the field out there. Because that's what he does. I've had a cordial relationship with Donny. I kind of, I've been on his show to debate, and we can talk, and it's fine. But this sort of, he's gone into a few debates lately with and thank you so much. It's the Ember members. It's the Embers. Feed that fire. I'm right with you. That's cool. Thank you so much, Ember. And yeah, if you're coming over here from Better Than Ember, you're very welcome. Always love the Embers. And if you're not, hey, you're welcome too. But Ember is a special friend of the channel, been a long-time friend, long-time awesome person. Look, I'm not saying you're not awesome. I just can't confirm. But I can confirm Ember's awesome person. Hey, we like people. But they're good people. No, Donny's not good people. I think so. Rightly, he's been going into debates and things with this sort of really arrogant attitude. The last thing I saw him on was Modern Day Debate, and he sort of had this idea that he was moderating the debate as well as participating in it. It really was kind of obnoxious, the way he was going, oh, we should move on for this and then cover this and you talk. It's like, dude, you're not moderating, like, seriously. But I suppose if you're going to have no decent moderation at all, someone's going to step in and fill the role. I just don't think it should be Donny. He's been moderating for ages. He doesn't really debate. I've challenged him to debates. He won't debate me. That's fine. Usually I'm not a debate bro that goes, hey, but I will spill the tea. He annoyed me. He annoyed me recently. And I don't even know if it was him. It just, his channel annoyed me recently. Look, it's kind of like I'm not usually the, hey, debate me, bro, kind of guy. I've asked him to debate multiple times. He says, no, that's fine. I'm like, okay, you suit yourself. I'm not really an in-your-face, you have to debate me kind of guy. People will know this about me. If you don't want to debate, that's fine. I understand. Not a problem. But so what I'm going to share with you is a comment that I left on one of his shorts. This comment I left on one of his shorts was kind of, why am I not seeing it? Is there something wrong? There we are. So I'm going to spill the tea. Oh, that is completely and utterly unreadable. Hold it. Can I get a decent? No, I can't. All right, I'm gonna have to. Just work with me, people. Work with me. Okay, so basically he was doing a thing on Y chromosome, right? So Y chromosome, it's a tiny chromosome. It's like 1%. And this was, so Donny has a habit. Donny has a habit of doing these debates against people, and they're doing a whole bunch of shorts and little gotchas and things like that. Totally fine. It doesn't bore me a bit. But Y chromosome is an interesting one because Donny uses that and has used it in the past for basically doing genetic entropy, right? He's like, oh, it can't be that long because at the rate that the Y chromosome mutates, because the reason is Y chromosome is prone to mutation, right? Because it is not one that does passing over. It doesn't, well, it's very rare that it does passing over because it only comes from the male. There's no other Y chromosome to pass over with and swap genetic information. So the Y chromosome doesn't get selection purifying it a lot. It doesn't get that benefit of being able to share genes with another chromosome. So it's very, very prone to mutation because it can't weed out that mutation through passing over or sharing of genetic information. Usually, okay, it does happen in rare circumstances, but they're kind of an outlier. Biology be weird, bro. But he uses this to say, hey, people can't be that old. We can't have been around for 50, 60,000 years or later, because it would have totally destroyed the Y chromosome, and it has tendency to get smaller and smaller. Yeah, I get that argument. You're wrong, because it basically gets down to a point of stability and then stops there. It sort of has a minimum that it needs in order not to be selected against. So it's not a good argument. But in this one, he's saying, hey, the Y chromosome is less like a chimpanzee than what we would expect. And basically saying, oh, because it's so mutated, it's against, he's basically using it both ways. He's basically going, hey, it shouldn't be mutated. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, hang on. Yeah, I can do that. He's basically say it shouldn't be mutated, and it's mutated too much somehow, right? So this is the thing with Donny. A lot of his arguments sort of go in both directions, that he will contradict himself with other stuff. He does the same in the heat problem, for instance. Says, oh, the heat problem, here's a solution against it, and here's another solution against it that doesn't mesh in with his first one. So he's like, oh, either could be true. Yes, but you've said you've solved the heat problem. It's not like could be. Anyway, but basically, the reason why we're more like the gorillas is because male dispersal of that Y chromosome is a big factor in how it mutates, how it is spread around the population. And our mating pattern is more like a gorilla than it is like the chimpanzee. And that explains it, basically. And it's totally fine, except Donny. And it's only a tiny one anyway, so it's kind of ridiculous. But I pointed out, in other arguments Donny has had against evolution, he points out the Y chromosome is prone to mutation, while in this one he's arguing there should not be such differences. The contradiction in his arguments is incredible. I see you also dodged all my questions and challenges. I'm not surprised. What questions and challenges? He made a baseless assertion. Oh, hey, Neil, did I get another raid and missed it? Oh, I'm so sorry. Hang on one second. I'll just get this open in YouTube. I'm a terrible host. Apparently, according to some member streams, I hate my audience. I don't, honestly. It was a joke. It was a joke. I made a joke, okay? Don't stop. No, it says better and Ember joined. But yeah, it's good to see you, Neil. It's good to see you. Hey, Jess. Yeah, so him after sort of, I'm going to call him Dodgy Donny Deals from now on, because he has literally wouldn't debate me. I've asked and asked, he won't debate me. So, usually I'm not a debate bro kind of guy. Okay, I'm usually not a debate bro kind of guy, but, dodging all of your questions and challenges, I'm dodging nothing from Donny. And male dispersal of Y chromosome is the reason why it is. And Call Me Emo had a really good point. It's the fact that FT and creationists accept way more Y chromosome diversity within kinds that makes this argument patently deceptive. Deceptive because he's fully aware that he accepts way more Y chromosome diversity than he's trying to deny here. But for sake of winning points against opponents who don't know better, he doesn't mention any of them. Yeah, exactly. And so I said to him, what questions, what challenge? Simply makes unfounded and baseless claims doesn't count as a challenge, Donny, especially when it conflicts with previous claims that you have made. I'm actually surprised you will have the gall to address me on this. When are you going to debate me, Donny? My challenge has been up for ages, Dodgy Donny Deals. Or is this some random minion answering for you, unaware that you won't debate me? So the challenge is out there. I'm going to say, look, I don't like being the debate bro, but if he's going to say, oh, you dodge, dip, dive, duck, and dodge, like when none of us have seen, dodgeball. Ugh, ugh. Seriously, anytime, anytime, bring it on, Donny, bring it on, bring it on. Don't sit there and say I'm dodging your questions when you will not have the temerity, the intestinal fortitude to actually step into a debate ring with me. Like, do not say that, or else you're going to look like an idiot. And it's really funny because I get a lot of people over from Donny's channel saying, "Oh, why don't you debate Donny?" It's like, ask Donny. He's the one that won't debate me. Anyway, so after seeing that yesterday, I decided, yeah, I'm doing you, Donny. I'm doing you. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, Austin. I haven't seen it, but I did notice his sort of let's call it an attitude that he had. This sort of he's sort of becoming more and more. Oh well, you people just don't know what's going on. You can. You're just ducking and dodging, and this sort of haughty kind of, oh, I know this, and this is it's really obnoxious, and it sort of gets more obnoxious still. Hold on, I'm gonna switch my logo because it's over the chat. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Let me get settled after that, because seriously, it's it's obnoxious that people are coming over saying that I won't debate Donny when I've really wanted to debate him, especially on endogenous retroviruses. Like, it is like such a, Donny considers himself an expert. I don't consider myself an expert. I just listen to experts, people who are very well versed in the field. And, he's got a methodology that is really emblematic of apologetics. He's not doing science. They're not doing science. Science starts with observation and leads to a conclusion based upon novel testable predictions and experimentation. That is science. What they're doing is they have the conclusion first, and they will do anything to fit to that conclusion. That's what they're doing. Okay, it's not complicated. They do not start with the observation. Oh, I'll happily team up, Austin. I will happily team up. What channel? Because I'm not going on MDD anymore. MDD is a horror show nightmare. So do not expect me to go on MDD. I will not. They have fallen into garbage tier nonsense for me. I will not do that. I will not do that. So it depends where it is, mate. But yeah, but Austin, yeah, I'd be happy to. I would be happy to. I would rather go on a reputable channel or an atheist channel where Donny can't pretend to be the moderator in the debate, because that is so obnoxious. It's absolutely obnoxious. Yeah. Yeah, no. Look, I supported them. I feel guilty about doing so. They are absolutely terrible. Like, they're not interested in actual debate. They're interested in like clicks and views and your standard stuff. It really has become a dumping ground for just people wanting to make controversy. It's not for discussion. It's for performance stuff. So this is Donny. Yeah, trying to look intelligent. It ain't working for him, but that's my opinion. Yeah, I think I'm going to be calling it modern day debacle now. Yeah, I mean, I know what Breakfast Taco is doing. Look, I trust Breakfast Taco. He isn't, I think I know what he's doing, but never mind. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. But yeah, get back to me. Get me on Discord, my friend. Get me on Discord, because yeah, I got a show to run. But hey, good to see you. Yeah, and so what I found on Donny's channel was he's trying to clout chase with Simon Dan. So he's having a go at Simon Dan because Simon Dan did sort of a tinfoil hat Tuesday, which quite rightly, he should have. Okay, the similarities between young Earth creationism and flat Earth is horrifyingly similar. Both of them have the same methodology. They have the conclusion, and then they try to fit any evidence to that conclusion that they can find, and they're not fussy about doing it. So I wanted to go through and look at Donny's video, because apparently he has an issue with comets, because comets apparently, for some reason, are causing us to think it's young Earth creationism is true. So yeah, apparently comets. Yeah.
Simon Dan tried to refute my comet argument, and it didn't go well. Today, we're exposing.
It went pretty well, by the way. It went pretty well.
The rescue devices he used and why.
Okay, so this is one of the obnoxious things about Donny. He really projects this, oh, you've got rescue device. None of them are rescue devices. They're not, because young Earth creationism isn't the standard, right? So we don't have to rescue old time or deep time from anything. It's what all the evidence points to. Like, it's not a rescue device. We're simply drawing a conclusion from the evidence that we have. But because Donny projects everything that he does, he's basically going, well, you know, I've got to somehow make this young Earth creationism sound plausible. I'm going to fit this to the young Earth creationism. It fits in. Another one of his favorite phrases is, oh, that evidence is agnostic, which is a really weird thing to say. No, the evidence is positively conclusive for more time than you are allowing. What he's doing is he's got his conclusion, and he will do anything to make it fit.
Comets still scream young solar system. Let's dive in.
Okay, I don't want to see his logo thing.
Okay, here we go. I'm excited for this one. We love refuting critics here on Standing for Truth. And so,
yeah, you might love it, but you don't actually refute them, Donny. That's the problem. All you do is, like, you basically just account for things. You basically just say, hey, this could work if this, but they never actually show it. That's the problem. That when scientists are going through and they're doing things, they basically go, okay, this is what we observe, and these are the conclusions we can draw from not just the observation, but also from the testing that we've done. It's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that every single paper will have a methodology, right? Every single paper will have a, this is what we did to draw this conclusion. This is our methodology that we used to get the conclusion that we came to. But Donny doesn't do that, because he's not doing that. He's basically saying, hey, I've got the conclusion, God did it, and this evidence could be accounted for by God. That's not a methodology. That is making a baseless assertion and fitting the evidence to your conclusion. Like, it is horrible that these people think that they are doing science. It is terrible. And I really don't want my picture to show the whatchamacallit, the name. How do I turn that off again? I don't know. I am yeah, okay. I always forget how to turn this off. Hold it. No. Okay. I'm unfamiliar. I'm unfamiliar, and uh-oh. Oh, it's all going downhill. It's all going downhill. You know what? I'm just gonna out it. There we go. There we go. Okay. So yeah, basically it really is the yeah, it's fine, Skeptic. Thank you. You know, and look at, we've got Raw Matt, who I've only debated once, and he was, I mean, he was probably the worst of these three that I've talked to. Raw Matt, I think that they're deceptive. All three of them are very deceptive. I think Raw Matt is actually the worst. He will make claims, and I've seen him change citations from papers before, and he probably doesn't. Understand that, when you've got a scientific paper and you are changing part of it, that is absolutely abysmal. That's abysmal. I've seen him insert the word God into a quote from a paper that did not originally have that in it. He is awful. Romat's terrible. Kent Hovind is a convicted domestic abuser and a fraudster. He did taxation fraud. No matter what he claims, he can sue me because I can show the receipts. I can show you the conviction for taxation fraud. Structuring is a form of fraud. And Donny wants to put himself with these guys. Well, congratulations, Donny. You're in fine company with a criminal and a guy that, can't actually properly cite a paper. It's wild.
Before we get into this detailed debunk of Simon Dan, a quick promo. Matt and I, earlier today, we recorded
no promo. No promo.
$1 a month. And
buy my DVD.
Again, we are going to be comprehensive. This episode should be available.
I can't take Hovind seriously. Refuting Simon Dan.
Each of his points one by one. And so in that video clip, I discussed the sun in an elliptical.
Look, Donny, you're just as bad as a flat earther. You are just as bad. You both have your conclusion and you're working towards them. Like, seriously, that is
years.
Both
Max, you're looking at roughly 10,000 years for comets. I discussed the decaying magnetic field. I discussed preserved biomaterial in dinosaur fossils. I presented on the C14 in diamonds.
Yeah, 10,000 years. 10,000 years for comets. You know that long terminal comets, long period comets can go for like millions of years. How do we know this? Because physics.
And coal and fossils where it shouldn't be.
Okay, yeah, I'm not interested. Where's your comment
turned on the issue? If you want to see the article that's associated with this one, Kuiper Belt and Oort Cloud, the two rescue devices.
Yeah, not rescue devices. No, there's evidence that we reached these conclusions. It's wild.
Is that Simon Dan invokes in part one the comet problem that Simon Dan and other proponents of evolution can't solve.
This isn't evolution, Donny. Maybe stellar evolution is what you're talking about, but I mean, seriously, it's kind of like anything that they don't agree with is evolution. And it's kind of funny because, nobody in astrophysics is calling it, oh, well, evolution says that the comet. Nobody's saying that. It really just does show how ridiculously, ignorant you are of the subject. Saying, oh, these proponents of evolution believe in. It's comets, dude. Seriously.
It's not 110% Simon Dan's fault. It's because the arguments or rescue devices that Simon Dan is
they're not arguments, they're not rescue devices. They are the production of science. They're the consensus among scientists, i.e. people that know a lot more about the subject than you or I. That is the deal. Like, I don't go and say, hey, my mechanic said this, but I think I can run my car on pineapple juice. Like, come on, Donny, it's ridiculous. This is the thing. I mean, I don't go around and say, hey, when you're working as a used car salesman, you should be, throwing the car at people. It's patently absurd. But you basically go, oh, well, these people are doing science. But because I don't agree with the science, I'm going to say that they're not doing science in particular. Ludicrous.
Taking from other apologists or guardians of deep.
They're not apologists, they're scientists, they're astrophysicists. Like, this is where he is really projecting. Apologetics is when you have a conclusion and then you make excuses or you make you account for the information into your conclusion that you've already made. These people are not doing that, and they can write a paper. Right? Like, when are you going to submit your paper, Donny? Or is it just a big conspiracy that none of them will listen to your expert opinion on comets?
Deep time evolution or common descent, they don't have good responses to these arguments, these incredible pieces of evidence that powerfully confirm biblical origins.
Okay, so this is how you know pseudoscience, right? This is how you can tell that someone is completely a pseudoscientist. When writing papers, when talking about their work, scientists don't go, well, we have some powerful evidence. No, they're tentative. That's the whole point. But, you know, the way that he talked, we have these powerful evidence. People doing science don't talk like this. They talk about the actual facts. They don't have to talk it up. They say, hey, there is this evidence, there is that evidence, this leads us towards this conclusion in particular. They don't, like, you keep polishing this turd, Donny. It's a turd, okay? It's never not going to be a turd. And you can't dress it up with, oh, it's powerful, it's mighty evidence of a mighty evidence thing of a mighty God. No, that turd will not polish, Donny. Give it up. Like, seriously, the fact that he has to talk like this is ridiculous. Like, the fact that he puts a paper thinking that it's in some way credible, writing, oh, well, we have some powerful evidence in the paper. Who writes like that? I did science communication, like it was a lower grade science course, but it was still a science course. You do not do this in this emotional writing in papers. You don't do that. You simply state facts, methodology, conclusion. That's it. You don't put this drivel in. Like, no wonder you won't get a paper accepted, Donny. You have to go online and write a book with bullshit. It's because you can't write a paper.
There are just not very good responses or objections out there. And so Simon Dan's simply working with what he's got. So again, it's not entirely his fault. And so let's get into his video. And
oh, you know, what he's got. Oh, you mean like the entirety of astrophysics, NASA, you know, that little chestnut, those little apologists from NASA who have actually been to space and have satellites and telescopes and radio telescopes all around the world, and they put telescopes in orbit. You know, those imposters. Come on, Donny, you cannot be this stupid. You can't be. I refuse to believe it. I think you're smarter than this, Donny, that say, well, they're listening to these NASA apologists. You know that's a flat earth argument? Are you aware? Do you know you just made a flat earth argument? Like, you said, hey, these apologists from NASA. You just made a flat earth argument, Donny. Congratulations.
And let's hear the arguments and points directly from him, and then we will respond in detail. And so here's his video, How to Misinterpret Everything About Science, which he's referring to me.
Yep, he sure is. So it's called pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is when you have your conclusion and then you try to account for everything from the conclusion. It is completely antithetical to how science works, which is basically observation first, which you're not doing. You have the conclusion first. That is always what you've done. And you start with that conclusion. I mean, prime example, the heat problem. You just start with the conclusion the Earth can't be that old. Then you desperately try to fit anything into that heat, like anything at all. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, and Donny's in the chat. Hey, Donny, when are you debating me, Donny? When are you debating me? Just asking, because I got a really weird message. Look, you can rewind and watch it. Apparently, I can't answer your challenges, so, you know.
Apparently, I'm misinterpreting everything about science. And so let's see if his arguments...
Okay. Maya, let's just calm it down a bit. I'm sorry, I probably amped up a bit. Let's just calm it down. You know, I'm sorry, that's my fault. Let's just calm it down a little bit. Yeah.
Countering that which I have presented. Here we go.
When people often suggest that they've got evidence to prove that the Earth is not billions of years old, I often raise my eyebrows.
Yeah, same if they argue it's flat as well.
That's because it never turns out to be evidence that the Earth is not billions of years old. It ends up...
Well, in his opinion, it doesn't turn out to be evidence for why the Earth is not billions of years old, but we can really tell just how powerful this evidence is when we...
Yeah, scientists don't talk like that. They don't talk in evidence of terms of power. They talk about reliability. They talk about robustness. They talk about actual things that scientists pay attention to, because power in science isn't a thing. Okay, it's not a thing. Like, you're not getting Neil deGrasse Tyson going out there and going, hey, we've got evidence so powerful. No, that's not how they talk. They say, hey, we have a reliable methodology for determining, say, you know, the orbital period of these comets or of these asteroids or of whatever. We have physics behind us. We have this behind us. That is what is reliable and robust and repeatable about these conclusions that we've made. They don't talk about power. Like, seriously. No, I'm not debating on MDD. No, absolutely not. No, not anymore. No. MDD has become a absolute dumpster fire with no moderation. I'm not doing that.
Look to see what our critics, what the skeptics are saying in response, and we can see that the best they have to offer are rescue devices, and for the most part already debunked talking.
Yeah, so the ironic thing is this is all projection from Donny, because he has the ultimate rescue device. Well, why do the comets, why are they in motion looking like that they've been orbiting for above, you know, X amount of years? Oh, God. It's the ultimate rescue device. Because if God can do anything, you'll modern debate? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But hey, I can find another moderator for us. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. I'll send you an email, and yeah, let's do it. Let's get it down. ERVs, let's go. I'm fully ready. Absolutely ready. But I'm not sure about a 2v2. Why can't we do a 1v1? Are you not confident? Anyway, we'll hash it out. But yeah, I've been challenging you to a debate for years now, Donny. Come on, step up. Step up, sir.
Point, as we are going to see in specifically the section on helium and zircon crystals. We recently did a 3-hour seminar.
I thought this was about comments. I thought this was a thing about comments. You're just all over the place, Donny. This was about comments. Let's
aid and examine in an objective manner.
So this is sort of what they do. It is Gish Gallop. Okay, this is basically what they'll do. He's like, oh, I can counter all things Dan's on comets. Zircon crystals. Who brought that up? Who brought that up? Who brought that up at all? Nobody brought that up. Nobody did. Absolutely nobody. He just changes topic because look over here. You know, why change the topic? He was talking about comets.
There's only one conclusion you can make, that the Earth is young, that you are not related to banana plants and strawberries. And it's funny because...
Straw man. So the reason why he's using related here, and this has got nothing to do with the subject of comets that he's talking about, because Dan's talking about the evidence. He's talking about off on his own little world. It's a straw man, because when you say related, there's context that we use that in, and he's trying to get an argument from incredulity going. Say, oh, you think you're related like your cousin is a banana, and nobody thinks that. It may work on the completely not scientifically literate sort of people, but it won't work on people that actually understand the science. When we're saying related in a scientific context, it simply means that we share DNA code, and that is still true. That is still true. And that relatedness, if you want to say, hey, you're related, it would go back probably billions of years. And so that sort of straw man, oh, well, you're related, you think your cousin is a banana. No, nobody thinks that. But they use conflation between the meanings of the two words. And Donny, of course, learnt this off of the domestic violence perpetrator that he currently hangs out with, allegedly. Domestic violence perpetrator that he was convicted of that crime, but he was convicted on a bench court. So yeah, actually, I can say that without a worry. So yeah, I mean, it's not an argument.
The argument from Comets, although powerful and fascinating, is not a hill that I would die on. Okay, if I'm really going to present an argument that, based on what I've seen,
Well, it depends how you're using that word, Donny. If you're using it as in, like I would say, hey, I am related to my brother, but I'm not related to Dennis, who runs the fish and chip store down the road, right? That's the colloquial usage of that term. Because, like, you know, if I came in and, you know, Dennis from down the fish and chip store had a bald head and some guy goes, are you guys related? I would go, no, we just have a bald head. You know, we're not related, right? That's the colloquial use. But you are conflating that with the scientific use, which means that we share genealogies, we share ancestry, which means that, yeah, we are related if you're using the scientific context, but the way you're conflating it with the colloquial definition, which is, are they part of your immediate family in society? Or extended family in society?
There's really no way to address like the Y chromosome dissimilarity or mutation rates, overall genetic diversity, DNA function.
Okay, but be nice to Donny. He's coming on. He's putting up with a lot of stuff. He lets me come on to his channel. So like, just don't you argue with him. Don't be mean. All right, seriously. Snake could mod. I could probably get Justin, who used to mod on MDD. He's very, very neutral, experienced moderator, and I would love to do it to promote Justin's channel. So let's get that up and running.
For example, mutually interdependent systems, C14 in diamonds, the helium argument, radio halos. Comets, at this point, have not been adequately addressed. The responses are weak, as we're going to see. But again, it's not...
Donny, your response is God done it. That's your response. Like, why are these comets going through? Because God decided. Maybe God let rip on the 7th day and you know, comets got blasted out from whatever ice ball he's currently sitting on. Maybe it's God's toenail clip. I don't know, but it's such projection to say, hey, you haven't explained them. You know, you haven't addressed this, but they have. But they have.
Not a point that I would, it's not a hill that I would die on, but yet it's still interesting that even on this argument that we're going to deal with comets, even on this point, which doesn't make or break the debate by any means, right? They still don't have good responses, as we're going to see.
Being a scientific fact that they've either misunderstood, misinterpreted, or just lied about.
Or perhaps the evolutionists misunderstand, misinterpret, or just lie about what's being said.
Oh, yeah. No, NASA's got no idea what's going on. No idea what's going on. No idea. Oh, look, I don't... Look, Delahunty will not go in with Andrew Wilson, and quite frankly, I don't blame him. And I wouldn't do that to Justin, quite frankly. And I'm not even sure Donny would want to be associated with Andrew Wilson. I mean, he is advocating for the most egregious kind of dismantling of democracy and, you know, Christian fascism. So I don't think Donny would want to be associated with that either. If he does, then I have less opinion of Donny than I do right now. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, I really think that you know, I really think that Christians shouldn't be associated with Andrew Wilson, because they would probably disagree with a lot of what he says about how he would handle people that disagree with him. Oh, and Jess, sorry Jess, I did not notice that. How terrible. I'm right here. I got it. I don't got it. I got it. Sorry Jess, that's my bad. That's my bad. Look, I don't think that's really a constructive debate. Where are you? Where'd you go? Jess, stop hiding. There you are. So Jess has come in with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Jess. Winners, chicken dinners. I miss Snake as well, John. I really do. I really liked Debate Cafe. I thought that was a good forum. But hey, you know, he took a break. You know, I don't know what happened with what was it? It was CP. It was something cinematic philosophy, maybe cinematic something. Yeah, her and Snake were doing it. I'm not sure what happened there. Anyway, and those go out to Megan Fox, giant boobs. Wow, okay, I didn't think I'd have to do the announcer voice on that. I suppose I should have been expecting it at some point. Dolly 8825, better than ever. Right-handed Sith, Dr. Kip Davis. Winners, chicken dinners, enjoy your emotes and other benefits. And we have a member stream. Is that tomorrow? No, next Wednesday night Eastern time. Okay, I had a bit of a brain aneurysm there. I'm fine. I'll get over it. Trust me. Maybe don't trust me. I don't know. But thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate it. You've caught Nitty and Kip. Dang. What are you trying to do, a Pokemon set or something? Well, you got to catch them all? What are you doing over there, Jess? Amazing. Yeah, that's some Robin Webster level of aim over there. That's impressive.
So a lot of this is opinion and assertion based.
So when a popular creation...
You expect the same energy? Look, I'll do my best. But I do like to muck around in D&D. I got to admit. I do like a good fun, improv kind of thing. It's raining readership. Absolutely right.
This YouTube channel released a video with evidence that changes everything.
It's always evidence that changes everything, right? It's always evidence that changes everything. Like, I swear, Donny's solved the heat problem like 5 times now, but he always has to solve it again because for some reason it just doesn't stick. I don't know why.
I will say, though, I do enjoy Simon Dan's videos. He is fun to respond to. His videos and arguments are fun to analyze. And so for that, credit where credit is due. Dan, I'm looking forward to getting into the entirety of this video.
I love how the University of American Samoa on his shirt. Look, American Samoa, awesome territory. I personally think they should be able to vote, but hey, it's not my country. So, but big shout out to American Samoa.
Again, it's close to 10 minutes, but I think part 1 is going to be about 3 or 4 minutes because that's just the Comets section.
Guess what I did? I raised my eyebrows.
Oh yes, the Tinfoil Tuesday. Yep. And hey, the arguments that have been made are about on the level of flat Earth. They are almost identical. And I love that I caught him using a flat Earth argument before. I mean, that's great. Like, more of that. More of the flat Earth arguments, please.
Hey, at least we got his eyebrows raised. So that's something.
I wouldn't be complimented by that, Donny. It usually he raises them for people who are misunderstanding the basics of science, really. Just saying.
Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thanks very much for joining me. Right, on with today's video then, which comes from Standing for Truth. Now, Donny's got some guests on his show, and he starts to talk about comets. Let's see where this goes, shall we?
Incredible data. Technically, this is a clip we took from a biblical creation seminar that we did last month, I think it was. We went for 4 hours. We were comprehensive, and we demonstrated the truth of young earth creation from both the Bible and Scripture. We also counter ancestry is true. So this is a clip from that. You can watch the clip, and you can also watch the entire seminar. And of course, you can watch Simon Dan's response to this particular section of the video. So comets is an interesting one. We know that comets can't last for very long. A comet is made up of ice and dirt. That's its material. And they actually orbit the sun in an elliptical path. Now, as comets actually get closer to the sun, the icy material gets blasted out into space.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not wrong. But the important thing to remember is that doesn't happen until they get close to the sun. Okay, that's important to remember. That in order for that tail on the comet to form, they do need to be closer to the sun. So there is no problem with comets further out not breaking apart like this. And we track them. I think we've landed a lander on one of them actually. Like it's just we've done a lot of research on them. I'm just going to get up a list of the ones that long period and short period comets. Yeah.
So comets are actually losing their material slowly over time. That means they're getting smaller and smaller. And because they're losing mass, this is interesting, we can actually calculate the rate as to which these comets are being depleted. And the data strongly indicates that comets can't last millions of years old, and they actually limit the age of the solar system. So before Simon Dan responds, it's a simple argument, an argument anybody can understand. It makes sense. It works in the young Earth model based on the amount of material that a comet loses.
But you're not basing that on any observations. All you're saying is, hey, they're losing mass, so therefore they can't have been around for this period of time, which no one's kind of saying they have been. But what you've got to account for, which you're not doing, you're just saying, hey, the model can't account for this, is that it doesn't have to have them be there since they're not close to the sun of where they started. And, you know, I'm gonna get to the Kuiper belt soon.
Over time, you can calculate that or run it back, and you can see that comets, as we know, simply can't last millions to billions of years old. Therefore, that is a point on the side of a young Earth. Now, how do the critics respond?
No, it's not a point on the side of young Earth because you haven't actually presented where they come from, right? So in order to show that it is in fact a young Earth, you can't just say, hey, your model doesn't work because I'm going to extrapolate off this thing that nobody backs you up on from the scientific consensus. Like you're exactly like a flat earther saying, hey, I can see the shore when I shouldn't. Therefore, it's a point in favor of flat earth. It's exactly the same argument. It's exactly the same argument. You have to try to falsify your explanation. All right, and it doesn't falsify the comets, the astrophysicist's explanation at all. It's just that the comets have been around for a long time, but more get knocked out of the various belts that encircle, well, the solar system. One is trans-Neptunian, and the other one is sort of into almost like sort of the outer perimeter of the solar system.
Do they appeal to? And let's see if that which they appeal to save the day for the deep time paradigm, let's see if it works and stands up under scrutiny. I'm curious to see what Simon Dan presents. Is it testable? Is it observable? It is empirical based? Is it something that's actually based in reality and science? Or is it more of his evolutionary philosophy? I guess we'll have to see.
That's fine. Comets do lose ice and dust when they get close to the sun. That's literally why they have tails. No argument there. Where he goes...
Okay, so
yeah, that's fine. But it's important to note that they don't have tails unless they are closer to the sun. So sort of comets and the ice and debris that make up comets can be outside of that area of influence where they're not, when they don't have tails, they're not losing mass. That's fine. There's no problem with that.
So he agrees with the facts. He agrees with the data that they're losing icy material as they move around the sun. Okay. Naturally, this is going to put shelf lives.
Yes, but they're not going to be losing it all the time. With long period comets, it's only when they approach the sun. And we can do physics, you know, the stuff that astrophysicists are doing, and calculate what their orbital path will be around the sun. Like, we can calculate this. But until they get close to the sun, they don't lose that mass. So a long period comet can last for a long time because it does not have the tail. It is not dispersing that mass as much. But yes, comets do decay. But there is a whole bunch of them, and I will show you some of them in the rings around trans-Neptunian and the solar system.
On them and limit the age of comets. Okay, so let's see his next response.
Wrong is by claiming that the comets we see now are the same comets that have been orbiting the solar system since the beginning of the solar system.
Now, isn't that an assertion that these are not the same comets that have been orbiting as the same comets at the beginning?
Well, what the question is, where do the comets come from at the beginning of the solar system? Like, I mean, your favorite book, which you are a fundamentalist, so you take it literally, said that he made the heavens and the earth. Where is the comets in that? When did he make the comets? Is it just a he had a few bits left over, so we just gave him a flick like a cigarette kind of thing? What exactly are you arguing for here? God made the earth, it was good. God made the heavens, it was good. But God had a bit of leftover junk, so he just tossed it, and that wasn't good. Because they... What? Like, what's the actual argument here? Like, if you're not going to... If you're saying, hey, they couldn't have been regenerated from being knocked out of the Kuiper belt or the Oort cloud, what's your argument? But no, you don't want to go there because it's patently absurd. It's oh, well, they just appeared 6,000 years ago. Because reasons. I mean, talk about a rescue device. Talk about a rescue device. And this is his favorite words, rescue device. Well, how did they appear? Well, God did it. Well, cool story, bro.
Of the solar system. So he believes that they're not, but let's see if he can demonstrate that.
They obviously aren't.
He says they obviously aren't. That's an assertion. Well, these are obviously not the original comets. And so we can have comets that have been moving in over millions and billions of years. But is this something that he can actually demonstrate? Let's see.
The solar system has massive reservoirs of fresh comets.
So he says the solar system has massive reservoirs of fresh comets. Okay, let's see if that's...
No. The Hebrew word for star does not include comets because they didn't know what comets were. And I would be wary of sort of talking about Hebrew. Dr. Kip was here and he will spank you if you get your Hebrew wrong. He will spank. Because he spanks me all the time. Nothing sinister. I just make mistakes occasionally on the Bible veracity. And Jess says, happy day of non-colonialism, thankfulness to all you Yanks in the audience. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate it. Yeah, happy Turkey Day, everybody. It's turkey time. We're talking turkey. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jess. I appreciate it. I think Australia Day is the closest we have to Thanksgiving. I don't think we've really got a Turkey Day kind of thing. We should have, I don't know, a Crocodile Day or something. Look, our animals, they're so much harder to catch. Like, I am not doing an Emu Day. That's some smoke I don't want to deal with, quite frankly. That is some smoke I can't deal with. We're not doing it. Like, seriously, you guys get turkeys, we get emus. That doesn't seem fair. That doesn't seem fair.
Something that can be demonstrated. So far, this is what he believes, capital B. These are assertions. This is his story. This is evolutionary philosophy. I'm looking for science. Let's see.
The Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kuiper Belt is how it's pronounced in England, America. I think that it's actually Kuiper. It's Cooper. So the original guy that named it was a barrel, like his ancestry. It was the same for Cooper. It's just in Dutch. Like, he's Dutch. And so, like, a Cooper is somebody that makes barrels. If you didn't know, which it makes it really weird that, we have a mini Cooper, like a mini barrel maker. Kind of weird. I bet you won't stop thinking about that too.
The Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud. He's appealing to these. Let's see.
Constantly sending new comets inwards.
Are they actually constantly sending new comets inwards? The Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud. He's definitely not demonstrating it.
It's a conveyor belt, not a one-time supply.
So he says it's a conveyor belt and not a one-time supply. Okay. Mm-hmm. These are all assertions. These are all claims. He's not really backing anything up yet, is he?
Yes, individual comets don't last forever.
Okay. Individual comets don't last forever. As a matter of fact.
Hello, IC Spin. So good to see you for $2 US. I'm doing well. I'm always doing well on a Friday. It's Fundamentalist Fails. I'm always doing well. Always. So good to see you, IC Spin. Hold it. I've got a graphic for this somewhere. Yeah. Thank you, Spin. A rattlesnake bratwurst? Okay, that sounds terrible.
They can last max 10,000 years, but then he's asserting or claiming that due to the Oort cloud and the Kuiper Belt, they're supplying fresh new comets. And so individual comets are not lasting long. But thankfully, according to the Oort cloud and the Kuiper Belt, new comets can make their way into the solar system like a conveyor belt, like he's saying. And so this is a system that he claims works well. But again, is it demonstrable? Is this scientific or just evolutionary philosophy?
But the supply does.
Because if the solar system were okay, so all of that comprise claims, assertions, and evolutionary philosophy.
Yeah, so we see the material making up comets in the Kuiper belt or the Kuiper belt. It basically stands to reason that, hey, we see new comets come that have not been reported before, and yeah, it happens very seldom, but we see that the material is in that belt. So we kind of put 1 and 1 together to make 2. But, I mean, Donny's putting 1 and the square root of -1 together, something imaginary to get a god. But that is because his conclusion is God. Like, he's not actually joining the dots there. He's basically saying, well, I've got an imaginary dot that you can't see, can't test, can't do anything with. All you're doing is saying, hey, there's new comets, and these are where the comets are. And if you don't believe me, here is the NASA website. So these are the philosophers from NASA, apparently. So I love that Donny is making a flat Earth argument, that NASA are just philosophers, that they're just using argumentation. That is a flat Earth argument. So I'm glad he's actually being correct on the level of his argumentation is exactly the same as flat earthers. So the Kuiper belt is out of reach of the solar station around Neptune. Oh, look. Oh, they're actually trans-Neptunian objects in the Kuiper belt. Whoops. Yeah, we've actually seen them. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. Whoops. Yeah. So it's about 1,000 AU, or how far is it? It's like yeah, I mean, some of them, including hundreds of thousands that are 60 miles, 100 kilometers wide, right? Like this whole thing about, oh, well, it enters the Earth and then like just burns up. No, that isn't accurate. Plus, it only starts to lose debris when it has the tail, and it only gets the tail once it reaches a certain distance. So a comet that goes around the sun and then out, it's not losing its debris for all that time. And that's what Donny's not taking into account. It only starts to lose it at a certain point. And so, you know, we have the trans-Neptunian region. Yep. I'm just going to see 4 billion miles from Earth. So I think from memory, the Kuiper belt, it basically is like about 3.5 to 4 point something billion miles out. And, you know, we have these things which ostensibly have the exact same properties as comets. Like, they've got the exact same properties. There's no difference between them, because we can use spectroscopy and stuff. We can actually analyze them. This is real people doing real science, not apologetics. Because, you know, contrary to what Donny wants you to believe, NASA are not out there doing apologetics. That's not what they're doing. Like, they've analyzed the structure of it. So we have these new objects coming into orbit of the sun. We see those objects in a belt, right? And then he's going, well, they're not coming from there. God's making them. What? Look, I warned you that Dr. Kit would spank you. I warned you. Yeah, so you know, this is NASA's website. I wish Donny would read. Look, Donny, go and read NASA. Okay, they're not apologists. They're just not. Okay, they're not. All right, they're just doing science on astrophysics. That's all.
We'll get into more detail once he's done here in this section. I've got some slides and visuals to help people understand even further why Dan's response to my point on comets severely lacks.
Yeah, no, this is Donny. This is Donny. So be nice to Donny, okay? He's always nice to me in the chat. So at least be nice. Look, you can disagree, but just don't be mean, all right? Just be kind to one another, please. Okay? Just please. Because I go into his chat. Like, we've dropped into each other's chat and called each other names plenty of times. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. Don't look, if he argues with me, I don't want, he can argue with me all he wants. That's fine.
For billions of years old, and the universe really were 14 billion years, comets would have all depleted away. The fact that they're there tells us that the solar system is young.
As I said, we know the solar system has huge comet reservoirs, and they contain millions.
So we know the Kuiper Belt exists. We don't know the Oort cloud exists. That's never been observed. Even those in the conventional literature admit to this. Okay. But he also asserted, let's go back there a little bit. He asserted, see, these kinds of assertions wouldn't work in a debate.
Make no promises.
We call out the opposition on their assertions. Solar system is young.
As I said, we know the solar system has huge comet reservoirs.
So he says, we know our solar system has huge comet reservoirs. We do? I'd like him to prove that, to demonstrate that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we get new objects coming in, and we have found objects in space that are affected by physics, including when the Neptune actually disturbs them. Like, it's not, I would say it's not rocket science, but I guess it is partially rocket science that NASA is doing over there. So, but when we look at these things, I would rather believe the scientists working away at NASA who have devoted their life to studying this than a guy with a Bible and a dream. Because you have your conclusion and you are trying to fit anything to that conclusion. But there's still some questions I have, and I will get to them.
And they contain millions to trillions.
And he says they contain millions to trillions. Well, the Oort cloud, which has never been observed, that's their lowercase g god, apparently. Oort cloud can save the day. So
what? Nobody's worshipping the Oort cloud. I mean, come on. Seriously? What is wrong with you? Like, nobody's worshipping the Oort. Like, it's weird. Every time, like, scientists say, hey, this is the evidence we have for this, and this is what we have evidence for, they're like, well, that's your God if it disagrees with my God. No, nobody's doing that. No one's starting a religion around this. Like, seriously. It is simply where the evidence leads us. I know you've got your conclusion and you have to account for everything into that conclusion. We're not doing that. We're observing and then leading to conclusions. It's called science, baby. Try it sometime.
No, we don't know that. Kuiper Belt's interesting because it is real. We know it exists, but does it actually, can it supply, and does it have millions and trillions of comets?
Well, I mean, they're not comets until they have the tail, right? So it has millions of objects that are comprised of debris and ice formed together under gravity. Are they comets? Well, not until they actually show a tail. That's why we call them comets. But, when we're saying, hey, where did they come from? And then we find a belt of them, it's not freaking rocket science. Like, seriously.
Acting as a hidden reservoir, basically, to supply the solar system with...
Not hidden. Not hidden. We found it. It's not hidden. It's just, like... So, space is really, really, really big. Like, incredibly big. And what I note, right, it's none of these guys, none of these asinine suggestions that God put the comets there for reasons that are actually working in astrophysics and at radio telescopes to find this stuff. It's all like basing it on somebody else finds it, it conflicts with my religion, so I want to tear it down with my misunderstandings and my incomplete ideas about what has to be bad and has to be untrue. That's what he's doing. It's the same as the flat earthers. It's exactly the same. Like, oh, we've found that the Earth, we've gone out to space. Well, I've got to make it fit with my conclusion somehow. So, conspiracy. And I mean, I'm going to wait. I haven't seen the entirety of this, but, I'm prepared to bet he's going to get to the conspiracy at some point that NASA's all lying to us. It can't be true. Like, that is a flat Earth argument, Donny. Stop making it. It's not mask off time, Donny. You can't show that you have the critical thinking ability of a flat earther. Like, please.
New comets to counterbalance the depleting ones.
Of icy bodies. These get nudged inward over.
So he says these get nudged inward. So these assertions and claims and storytelling might be convincing to those that are already so invested in the deep time story, like those in his comment section that are listening to him speak. But again, evolutionary storytelling is not actually going to work. It's not effective. It's not a
not evolution. Evolution is biological evolution. I know that's the one you got the big problem with, and you want to tie everything that you disagree to in it. But at a certain point, Donny, you've got to realize that if you're rejecting evolutionary biology, you're rejecting astrophysics, you're rejecting geology, you're rejecting radiometric dating, you're rejecting all of these at what point do you become anti-science? Because I think you crossed that line ages ago. I think you have become pseudoscientific. You make up stuff and then try to tear down theories and explanations that people with vastly more knowledge than you have made, and you don't succeed. But what you need to do is publish a paper and tear them down that way, because that's the only way that's acceptable in science. This whole idea of convincing an audience that has no ability at all to pass or review what you're saying, and that's going to put pressure on the government to change the science, that's not the way to do it. And the thing is that the people in these fake organizations that are trying to present this, they know it's not the way to do it either, but they're doing it anyway.
Sophisticated response to the Comets challenge.
With time, and that gives us a steady supply of new comets. So the president...
It does. So the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud, according to Simon Dan, gives us a steady supply of new comets. Is that true? Is he demonstrating it, or is he just making assertions and claims and giving us little bits and pieces of his evolutionary story?
Presence of comets today isn't evidence of a young solar system.
Oh, look, Donny, you've got to stop saying this, because it's not evolution. When you're sitting there going evolution, this is more conflation with technical terms and colloquial terms. Because when people talk about evolution, they're talking about biological evolution, which is the big one that Donny has an issue with. Stop saying it, because you just look uninformed. You just look uninformed. Like, say you have a big problem with, you know, physics. You know, that's fine. You've got a big problem with physics. Okay.
Actually, according to my point and your response, yes, it is, because he didn't debunk anything. Assertions and claims in evolutionary philosophy is not an effective counter to this point that logically, yes, he's admitted that clearly comets, individual comets, have a lifespan. That lifespan is 10,000 years or less. And then he asserts and claims that, well, these are not the same comets that have been orbiting, that have been in existence since the evolution, the cosmological evolution of the solar system billions of years ago. And that we got the Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud that supplies, like a conveyor belt, it's a supplier of new icy bodies. That's the claim. That's the story. It hasn't been demonstrated. I'll further prove that.
It's evidence that the supply line works.
Conveyor belt isn't the words that I would use. I wouldn't use that, because a conveyor belt sort of suggests that they're just going on rotation kind of thing. I don't think I would describe it as that. I think that is, again, another conflation between somebody trying to explain something in a way that's easier for people to understand, and you know, the idea that you know, it replenishes kind of thing. I mean, we're really talking about the scale of billions upon billions upon billions of years. But like, when you think about it, where does the debris go in space? Where does it go? If it like goes out, where does it go? Well, gravity will affect it, and it will start to clump together. So yeah, the solar system is a dynamic system. It's not in perfect stasis. It will be the case that we see comets that should have done multiple orbits around, but we only found them. So they must have started on their orbital journey around the sun fairly recently. How does that happen? Well, Donny wants you to think that they're magicked in by a god who's got nothing better to do than to play billiards with big hunks of ice just for funsies. Just for funsies. just for funsies. Why not? You know, and make it look like they're coming from the, trans-Neptunian objects that we clearly find. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, no, it really doesn't, Donny. Stop.
The supply line work, though? Does the supply line exist for comets? That we're going to see even in the Kuiper Belt. There's not really any good evidence for that. Oort cloud hasn't been observed. You can just discard that as evolutionary fairy tale. Okay, and so again, I think people can see that these are assertions and claims. And why I'm pausing the video is because we always need to call out the evolutionists when they make a claim and an assertion, especially when it's not substantial. It's okay to make an assertion and claim and then show that this is scientific, this is based in reality. Here's my assertion, here's the evidence. Now refute it. But if it's just an assertion but no evidence, well, there's not much to go by, because it's like, okay, that's a cute story, but it's not science. Another really good one is the decaying. Okay, so there we go, roughly between 2 and 3 minutes in. So guys, you can tell this is going to be a fun series. The decaying magnetic field is going to be the next one, and it doesn't get any better for our good friend Simon Dan, and of course we do appreciate the engagement.
Yeah, so this is a good way to sort of show. So comets have two tails, basically. They have the orbital path, and then they have the debris being pushed away from the sun, right? So in these over here, they're not losing debris, right? There is a certain threshold where they do start to lose debris, right? Like, so this idea that they're constantly losing, no. That's not accurate. And the long period comets, because they go so far, and I'll give you an example of one that I found. This is Wikipedia, but it does illustrate my point, right? Like, you have this comet, I believe it's called C 1975 West, that comes in from ages ago. Like, this will take millions, billions of years to orbit the Earth. How do we know this? Just physics, baby. We can tell from a vector, which is a sort of three-dimensional representation of what trajectory it is on and the speed that it is going, as well as accounting for all the physics, what orbital path that will be upon, right? That is basically what we're doing. We're saying, hey, this is going to take what's the estimate? Yeah, the orbital period, nearly a parabolic trajectory, from 254,000 to 558,000 years, right? So we can just tell that by physics. And this is the weird part. This is because the Earth is moving. This is in relation to the Earth, relative to the Earth. Retrograde loops are caused by parallax from the Earth's annual motion around the sun. So that's basically how we've tracked it. So all of this is apparently philosophy, number one. Number two, I put it to you, right? Why, if this has an orbital path that should take hundreds of thousands of years to go around the sun, right? Hundreds of thousands of years. Why is it that a God created it on such a trajectory to have this orbital path? Fun? Had nothing better to do? Just wanted to make the solar system look old? Why do it? Why try and make the solar system look older? What's the point? What is he trying to do? I never get answers to that. It's just, that's what he decided to do. It's all unknown. I mean, talk about your rescue device. We have a long period comet, a body that is traveling in a parabola that goes hundreds of thousands years round the sun. Right? That is the trajectory it's on. That's facts. It's not a rescue device to say, hey, maybe that'll orbit the sun. That's just physics. That is just physics. You have to have the conclusion that God created everything and did it within the last 10,000 years to go, oh no, that's not going to orbit the sun. That is just happened for some reason when the Earth was created by a magical man who apparently decided that he was going to kick rocks after creating the solar system for whatever reason. Not sure why. Or alternatively, the solar system is billions of years old, and this comet has been going around the sun for ages and could have been knocked loose from the Oort cloud at some point in the past, because things aren't static in our solar system. They're just not. And he says, oh, they can't explain. Donny doesn't explain anything. He doesn't explain anything. He just has to have his conclusion. So he has to match all of that information to the conclusion and call NASA, the people putting rockets in orbit on the moon and on Mars, philosophy. Yeah, no, if I can get, Jet Propulsion Labs, that's obviously philosophy. That doesn't do jet fuel at all. It's philosophy. Come on, Donny, you're better than this. Maybe you're not. Maybe I'm wrong. Jeez. And Jess with 5 readerships. Sorry, we have Jake Dapper, Inside Joke Nelson, Binge Thinker 791, Awesome Tori Swasiger, Maya Akason, Windscar 2206. Wow, that one was terrible. I'm sorry. You're killing me. But winners, chicken dinners, enjoy your emotes and other benefits. Thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate it. Love your work. You're on fire today. What is up with you? Look, I'm here for it, Jess. Totally. I'm on board. Yeah, absolutely. But thank you so much. Woo.
Engagement and interaction, and perhaps
Hold
one day we can have a one-on-one conversation on this issue.
Can anyone say clout chasing? No, I'm joking. I mean, he did do a Tinfoil Tuesday on him, so I think he really does have a right to respond. I'm joking.
So here we go. We heard the entirety of his argument. We're not taking anything out of context. I played it, and we know what his response is. We know what his rescue devices are, and let me prove even further why that's exactly what this is.
None of it. Your God is the rescue device, Donny. Your God is the rescue device, because you're not actually seeing evidence around you and going, that leads me to a God. You've got the conclusion there's a God, and you're basically making all the evidence about it and saying, hey, it can't work. Well, guess what? When we see objects enter and basically those objects are in a belt, it's not that hard to realize that that's where they came from. And because we see Neptune interfering with these objects, it's not that hard to determine, hey, if Neptune interferes with these objects and they can be thrown off course, if they're thrown off course, we can do the physics and go, well, that is overwhelmingly the most likely place that they come from. Whereas you're going, well, there's a God that you can't see, can't engage with. I claim it's real, have no evidence for it. He created comets, some looking like they have hundreds of thousands of years to go around the sun. And here's the thing, normal Christians don't disagree with them. Like normal, everyday Christians say, yeah, that tracks, sure. It's only the fundamentalists. Fundamentalists are people that think their book is inerrant. It can't possibly be wrong, and take a literal taking from the book. And let me tell you, nobody is a biblical literalist. Not really. Everybody has to read metaphorical things into the Bible. Everybody. Because if that was true, then the flat earthers are right, and there's 4 corners because that's what the Bible says. There's four corners of the world. It's a metaphor. And, you know, when people are saying in the Bible, you think from your heart, like check their heart for their thoughts. Like no one takes that literally. Nobody does. Nobody. Because your heart, unlike we know now, unlike sort of the cardiocentric view of the olden times, is not where your thoughts come from. They're not. You can do a heart bypass. It's not going to stop your thoughts, okay? It's not where your thoughts are coming from. So you cannot be an actual biblical literalist and have any grasp on reality. I'm sorry, you can't. You can say you're a biblical literalist and then sort of say, well, I'm just going to take the parts I want to literally and other parts I take them metaphorically. Fine, you can do that. That's fine. That's fine. You can do that. But no one is a biblical literalist completely. You've always got to read metaphor into it. And most Christians go, yeah, the whole 6 days thing, metaphor. And they're done. And then they can actually pay attention to the science. But, you know, if you want to believe that the world is 6 years old, but you're starting with that conclusion before you've looked at any of the evidence. And then you try to knock the people who are actually doing the work in the field because you've got a religious belief. And then the really dodgy part is that they try to project their religiosity onto the other side. Like, oh, the Oort cloud is your God. I'm sorry, could you point me to the church of the Oort cloud where we are worshipping the Oort cloud? Does the Oort cloud give us any moral revelations? Nobody has their religion as the Oort cloud. It's not a god. It's not special. It's just a mass of bodies around the outside of the solar system. That's it. And yeah, they're really freaking far away. And we don't know a lot about it. There could be planets out there. There could be you know, asteroids larger than Ceres or you know, tons of things out there. We don't know. But unless you are starting with the conclusion that there's a God out there, you cannot make what you're saying work. And we have these objects that we see that are exactly the same as the one going around that have tails and are comets, and we understand how they work, and we see that they can be subject to the forces of physics throwing them off course, and they fall into these parabolas. It's not rocket science.
So Kuiper Belt Oort cloud rescue devices. Okay, so
not rescue devices.
Some fun with this. Here's a summary of what we just heard. Simon Dan appeals to the Oort cloud and the Kuiper Belt as if they are observational facts. But the Oort cloud has never been detected, and the Kuiper Belt is known to be underpopulated. You can see this directly in the conventional literature on this issue by 2 or 3 orders of magnitude. In other words, the long age model needs invisible reservoirs. This is evolutionary philosophy that don't exist, and visible reservoirs that are far too small. See,
yeah, so it's long period comets that we see that are the reasons why we think it's there. It's that we don't go, hey, a god that we've never seen leads us to the conclusion it was all made 6,000 years ago. No one's doing that. Like Voyager, it would take hundreds of years for Voyager, which is the furthest man-made object from the world. It would take hundreds of years just to get to the Oort cloud. But guess what? Maybe it'll still be active at that time. Maybe Voyager will give us some idea. I mean, it will take a long, long time, right? Where's your probes going out, Donny? Where are you sending probes out to see if you can find the god? Yeah? I mean, hey, you know, the Voyager's still transmitting. It's still transmitting as it goes out there. What happens if it gets out there and finds like all of these objects? Are you going to retract it? Are you going to actually take it back? Are you going to actually acknowledge the discoveries that we've made? No, probably not. I mean, the discoveries over the last decade or so haven't changed you. You're still doing the same old debunked arguments you've always been doing. I mean, it's, you know... Yeah, and I agree, Nate, putting your work for peer review. But that's just like a flat earther. The young earth creationists have to go to, well, it's all a conspiracy. I'm not going to put in for peer review because they're in a conspiracy. It's the exact same argument. And it's an argument that is made because they cannot actually support any of their assertions. They just make it.
And I'm doing this in a series because I've responded to Simon Dan in the past. For example, I took his Adam and Eve video critique from roughly 2 years ago, and I responded to the whole thing. I think my response was just about an hour, maybe a little bit more. And so this will make it more digestible. If people are wondering, why don't you just respond to the whole thing? Well, I want to keep these responses 15 to maybe 30 minutes roughly, okay? And that way they're digestible. And I'm doing it as a favor to our good friend Simon Dan, because if he ever does respond, because I'd be curious how he responds to these counters, and me pointing out the fact that all he's really got is claims and assertions in the video, okay, is this will give him the opportunity to have shorter videos to possibly respond to defend his belief in not only common descent, but in terms of this video, a young earth. In other words, the long age model needs invisible reservoirs that don't exist, invisible reservoirs that are far too small. See, word cloud.
No. Your arguments don't come directly from the papers. The data comes from the papers, and then you misrepresent the conclusions of them. I was pointing out earlier how this is not done with science. You will be discredited because you have not actually done the research. What you're doing is basically hijacking their information to draw your own conclusions that they didn't draw. That's what you're doing. You've done it for every paper I've ever seen you pull up, Donny. You're basically gone, well, I'm coming from this data, so it concludes the opposite of what the person who wrote the paper says. That is called misrepresentation, and you would be tossed from any university for doing it. Any reputable university, not like Patriot University where your friends get their paper mill degrees, you know, like Dr. Chen did. You know, like ridiculous. You can't just take someone's work, misinterpret the data, and then project it as their research and then cite the paper like it was what they concluded. Absolutely scientifically illiterate. That is the problem.
It's invisible, can't see it, doesn't exist. Okay, demonstrate that it exists. It's just a belief, capital B. And visible reservoirs like the Kuiper Belt that are far too small. So no, there's
No, Kuiper Belt is not invisible. They're not invisible, not at all. You've got it wrong. It's the Oort cloud that is so far away. But it's not like we're doing nothing to confirm it. We're sending probes out to confirm it.
There's no counterbalance. Comets look young because they are.
That is not what you do. That is not what you do. Be honest, okay? Be honest. You basically show why their conclusions are inferior. What you should be doing is putting in your own paper, like an actual scientist saying, hey, these are my conclusions and this is the evidence supporting it. But you don't. You absolutely don't. You misrepresent their work. You should be ashamed of yourself. You misrepresent their work, make your own conclusions, you hijack their research. That's what you do. And like I said, that is why no one takes you credibly in the scientific fields, because that is what you are doing. It is absolutely misrepresentation of a peer's work. But you're not a peer. You don't publish. Publish something. If your conclusions are better than theirs, you should be able to publish it and it should get through, but you don't.
Are young. Very simple. As a young earth creationist, we don't have to invoke rescue devices because the data works. The data speaks for itself. And no amount of evolutionary philosophy is going to save the day for Simon Dan. The Oort cloud, never observed. The Kuiper Belt does not solve the problem of short period.
Yeah, sure it does. Yes, there are objects which are exactly the same composition as short period comets, or just period comets, in like a trans-Neptunian that has been disturbed by Neptune traveling. Like, it doesn't solve it. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Like, seriously, what? But your thing is like, well, God did it. That doesn't solve anything. That doesn't solve anything. How did God do it? Why did he do it? Why isn't it mentioned in the Bible? None of that's answered, because Donny has literally nothing and is like a flat earther saying, hey, you can't explain why I see the shore over here and don't say refraction. That's the argument. Because we say, hey, we find these objects in a belt that could replenish the stock of the comets when disturbed out of their trajectory, and he goes, oh, that doesn't explain it. It's like the refraction argument. They say, hey, I shouldn't be able to see this shore. And we're like, but refraction. And they say, oh, that doesn't explain it. It absolutely explains it. You just don't understand enough to comprehend it. Either that or you're incredibly dishonest.
Comets. There's no counterbalance. There's even evidence that we're not dealing with comets when it comes to the Kuiper belt. This is a textbook rescue.
We're not dealing with... Got a paper on that one?
Device. This is why we wrote a book years and years ago.
Don't write a book, publish a paper. Don't write a book, publish a paper. This is the absolute disrespect for the field that they can't publish a paper. And they don't even try to, because their aim is to convince people that they're right. That isn't how you get something accepted into science. And, you know, now they've, having failed to overturn science by mass mob rule in society, they're basically going, oh, well, that's not science, that's religion. The Oort cloud is your God. All hail Oort cloud. Wow.
The Rescue Device Handbook. Because critics like Simon Dan, guardians of common descent and deep time, they may not always be good at providing sophisticated counters or convincing responses, but they are really good at inventing rescue devices.
This is projection. This is all projection. God is the biggest rescue device ever. Why doesn't the comet that seems to have a 100,000-year orbital path, why doesn't that show that the thing is old? Because God put it there on its trajectory, you know, for reasons that I don't know. Rescue. God works in mysterious ways. That's the rescue. That's the rescue. He doesn't have anything. That is the rescue. And it works for everything, because you're like, ERVs, God put them there. God works in mysterious ways. He just was joking when he made him look like a virus. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? He's such a joker. He's such a joker. Isn't that hilarious? Isn't that hilarious? Yes, it is God of the Gaps. It's an appeal to ignorance. Yes. Yes. Correct. Yeah, Jess.
It's really far.
I hope nobody blocked Donny. Don't block Donny. He lets me get away with a lot on his channel, so definitely don't block him, mods. You should know. Unless he's like, you know, being absolutely... I don't think... Donny doesn't swear at people. He's not, you know, that bad. Don't block him. Because he lets me get away with a lot on his, so, yeah.
Far-fetched rescue devices. They're invented because comets disprove deep time. Remember, science is not about proving things, but we can take a model, take a hypothesis. And I think it was Einstein that said, you could have hundreds to thousands of observations and pieces of evidence that are working in your model's favor. All it takes is one experiment or line of evidence or observation that precludes the model from being true.
Yeah, the problem is that your hypothesis is that they were magicked into existence 6,000 years ago by a immaterial mind for reasons you can't explain. Okay, that's not evidence against the hypothesis, sir. That is just nonsense.
Comets decay rapidly, too fragile to survive millions of years, short period.
No, only when they're close to the sun. So if you do have a comet with an orbital path that takes hundreds of thousands of years and they go really fast, it isn't it isn't close to the sun for its entire lifetime. Okay, it isn't. So it's only when it gets beyond a certain point, as I showed you in the diagram, that is when the sun acts upon it and it starts losing mass. But some of these are hundreds of kilometers wide. Okay, they're freaking massive. So number one, they're really big. Number two, they're going really fast. And number three, they don't lose mass once they're out of a certain range of the sun, which if you knew anything about gravitational orbits, you know, the long period, they're out, they spend most of their time out of the inner ring of the solar system. Deal with it.
Period comets burn out in about 10,000 years. Where's the billions of years? Oort cloud. Rescue device never observed. No telescope to observe that. Prove me wrong, Dan. And this is why it's important to respond to critics and not ignore the critics, because we want to show viewers, especially those on the fence, that yes, we have counters to what.
That's not a counter, Donny. God done it is not a counter. It's not. Because you're not actually explaining how they got there. You're not explaining the mechanisms. They're explaining the mechanisms, how the physics is working. Can you do that for your God?
What the critics are saying, if we don't ever respond to critics, if we just let the critics to walk all over us as young earth creationists, then those that don't.
No, don't let them walk. Just make stuff up. Yeah, sure. No, the problem is you've got your conclusion first, and that's fine. You can have that conclusion, but don't go around pretending like you guys are the real scientists and NASA are philosophers. I mean, seriously. I don't, like, seriously. You're going to go in and tell, like, a rocket engineer and an astrophysicist that they're just philosophers, just doing philosophy up there. Oh, yeah, they managed to get the James Webb Telescope into orbit, but it was all philosophy, trust me. Wow.
Really know this topic, those that are not informed or equipped to take on the critics, they're going to think that Simon Dan has really strong arguments here. Ooh, the Oort cloud supplies fresh comets. But when we do a response video, we point out that no, that Oort cloud is an evolutionary mental invention.
No, it's not. It's just that is what the evidence is showing us, and it is not showing a young solar system like 10,000 years old, because we have comets on trajectories that they can't possibly be that young, unless of course God did an oopsie whoopsie and left some stuff or tried to fool us so we'd believe that it was old. No, you really need to get an imaginary friend in order to think like this. Like, your imaginary friend decided, just as a lark, just to make it look like comets are on a orbital path around the sun that takes hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah. Why? Mm-hmm. Who knows? Who knows?
And so it's important to defend our arguments. It also helps to refine our positions, to refine our arguments and reformulate them.
No, they're assertions, Donny. They're assertions. You've got nothing to back that up at all. Like, nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're basically going, well, it can't have happened because the Earth is 6,000 years old. No, you have nothing. Literally nothing. We're basically saying, hey, these are objects that we have seen in the Kuiper belt and coming from further away, long period comets that have got to be coming from further because they take so long to get to us.
Critic actually puts forth a good argument, because over the years of doing debates, I've done over 100 formal debates and hundreds of impromptu discussions and debates due to all the open mics that we've hosted and all the challenges.
No, Jedi, look, if they find life on Mars or the evidence of life on Mars, they'll just deny it. They'll just deny it. At that point, it'll be 100% conspiracy, conspiracy, like it's just going to be ridiculous.
Challenges that we've done over the years. And so I've seen, for the most part, the best that the critics have to offer, and what those arguments, criticisms, challenges, and objections have done. They've actually helped me to refine my position to discard arguments that don't really work, to not focus too much on agnostic pieces of evidence.
Not agnostic. Like this is an issue I have with Donny. It's like we have all these pieces of evidence, like, oh, we have these comets that are made up of this material and ice and all of these things. We find a cloud or a belt with lots of these objects in it. Where are they coming from? Probably this belt, because Neptune will disturb it. That's physics. And then you have Donny going, God did it. That's not agnostic. Okay, that's not agnostic. You have a whole bunch of evidence that they can present, like pointing to one conclusion, and you have, well, you can't definitely prove that God doesn't exist. That isn't agnostic. That is, hey, we are confident of this thing, and we've never seen this thing that you're talking about. That is like the least agnostic two suggestions I've ever heard. That is not agnostic. That is, we have reliable evidence for one, and we have butt kiss for the other. It's not agnostic, Donny. That's his favorite word.
And really hold the evolutionist feet to the fire on the discriminating points, the differentiate.
Yeah, when's your feet going to be held to the fire, Donny? When are you going to tell us how God did this, the mechanics of it, and how exactly it does work? Oh, you don't have to? Oh, funny that. Right. Right? You say, oh, you've got to describe every little mechanism that ever took place in every single prokaryote, and you've got to explain everything in minute detail. And then when pressed on your answer, but God, my book, that's it. So it would be nice if you hold yourself to the same standard that you're holding others to. And we try as much as possible and give you tons of evidence. But because you've got your conclusion up front, you just wave it away. It's a symbolic of pseudoscience. You wave it away.
Lines of evidence that can best be explained by creation.
It's not best explained by creation. You have no evidence for the creation except for the conclusion that you already had to say it was created 6,000 years ago. That is your evidence. Your claim is your evidence. It's not best explained by creation. It's not. Because the whole point is that let's use a term you like, your rescue device of God can literally do anything. So I could say, hey, I took a dump on the floor. It was God. God did it. It's the best explanation. I wouldn't do something like it covers anything. So it has absolutely no substance to it. It is the greatest rescue device ever devised.
And that pose a real challenge or problem to evolution. Oort cloud. Invented, mental invention to explain away the young comet problem. And it doesn't matter how many evolutionists.
Old comet. Young comet problem. It's not a problem.
Repeat in videos, discussions, debates, articles, this mental invention that's never been observed. It doesn't matter how many times they repeat it, it doesn't make it true. Not based on evidence, but it's a necessity. Kuiper belt. Insufficient. Real, but
too few objects. Wrong. 100% wrong. Wrong size distribution. Wrong. Wrong again. Sorry, Donny. Wrong again. Like some of them we found to be absolutely massive. Cannot supply comets at a required rate. Wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Too few objects. Wrong size distribution. Cannot supply comets at required rate. Young solar system fits the data. The most parsimonious explanation is that the solar system...
And I don't know what a required rate would be. Like, there's a God going, oh, well, I need 5 of you out there. Like, that's not how we think. Like, seriously, it's such a constricting mental attitude to have of this creationism thing. Well, it's got to do what God wants, so it's got to come out. We don't think it has to be like anything. It just is. Yeah, too small. Too small for what? Yeah, exactly, Jess. It's like... oh, but we expect it to do... No, it just does physics. We just apply physics to it. That's all.
Them is young because we don't require any far-fetched rescue mechanisms like the Oort cloud, which again is not even observed. Why should we as creationists accept that there's an Oort cloud out there that's supplying...
Wow, the level of intellectual inconsistency. We don't even see the Oort cloud. Why should we accept it? By the way, believe in my God. Where's the God? Oh, he's just around. He's just Wow. Like, incredible.
Fresh comets. Dan, give us good reasons, creationists. Give us informed creationists good reasons for us to say, oh, the Oort cloud, yeah.
Yeah, that's, I don't consider you an informed creationist, Donny. Sorry, I just don't. I don't. I think you misrepresent things. I think you take papers and put your own conclusions on them and then claim the paper backs you up, but they don't.
That must exist. Show me a picture.
And you learn that when you actually learn science. You can't just take the data and the experiments and the methodology someone else has done, take their work, put your own conclusion on it, and then walk around with the paper in the air like you won something. That is misrepresentation. Not cool, man. Not cool. And people got to know that is what you are doing.
Show me the evidence. Comets look young because they are young. No invisible reservoirs required. The Oort cloud is entirely theoretical. 0 observations. No telescope, including Hubble, James Webb Space Telescope, that's JWST, Pan-STARRS, Gaia, or any deep survey instrument has ever detected a single Oort cloud object. There is no direct observational evidence for what? The cloud itself, the trillions, you heard Dan himself, trillions of bodies, icy bodies. It's trillions of bodies. No, where? Its dynamics, its formation. He didn't provide any of this. So in a follow-up video, I want you, Simon.
Yeah, so we apply the physics to stellar formation, right? How the dust and particles would accrete. And I don't see why we would have gravitational influence at that amount out. Like, why would we expect gravitational influence at that range? Like, it's not going to do any discernible gravitational influence on, like, the planets. Should it be tugging Pluto out of orbit? I don't get why. It's really weird. I don't understand. I mean, there's probably, like, I think there is interstellar comets as well. Comets that go from one solar system to another. How to explain that? God done it? And I don't think he really understands that, yeah, it's trillions of bodies, but as you go out further from a central point, right? Like blowing up a balloon, there's a lot more area. And the amount of area they are in, they're not that closely spaced. That doesn't mean that one can't strike another. That doesn't mean that they don't have an effect on one another.
And Dan, show me direct empirical observational evidence for what? The cloud itself, its trillions of bodies, its dynamics, its formation, its composition, and its gravitational influence.
Can you do the same with God, Donny? Please, go ahead, do the same with God. So from God, can you show that God, the God itself, its trillions of actions and bodies, its dynamics, its formation, its composition, and its gravitational influence? Show me all of that, Donny, and I will do the same. Go for it. Show it all. Show all of it. Show all of it. I want to see all of this for God. The God itself, its trillions of bodies, its dynamics, its formation, the God composition, and its gravitational influence. Please, Donny, present it. Please, go for it.
Dynamics, its formation, its composition, and its gravitational influence. I want to see that. The Oort cloud exists.
No, the Oort cloud exists because we have these long period comets coming from somewhere. That's why it is there. And, you know, that doesn't explain interstellar comets. That if we calculate the physics, they'll be going into another solar system, probably be captured by that sun. What was that for? God just decided? Maybe that's God's toenail clipping, ricocheting off somewhere else? What's going on? Ugh.
Exists only because deep time cosmology cannot explain why comets still exist. That's what we mean by rescue device. Well, I got to rescue the deep time paradox.
No, this is all assertions. Like there is nothing
that the
about
Kuiper Belt
this.
is far too underpopulated by at least 2 to 3 orders of magnitude. I find it funny. We've had Dr. Jason.
Oh, just from what? 22 years ago? Oh, 22 years ago. No, really up to date, right? Like, I love this. This is what they always do. Hey, I got a paper from 2 decades ago. Like, we've never found anything since that I'm going to quote. Wow. You couldn't find anything from, I don't know, this decade, Donny? Like, you know, can you say cherry picking? Can you say cherry picking? I see a paper on ResearchGate. I'm not sure that is the paper that you're after. Preliminary results are presented. Okay, so it's preliminary results from 2007 on there. Yeah, it'd be nice if you actually cite the paper instead of just giving out names. It does not look peer-reviewed to me. Because you're not citing it, Donny. Because you don't know how to cite something. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that this is saying what Donny is saying, but of course he doesn't actually cite anything properly. He doesn't actually cite anything properly, which is really frustrating. Because if he did a science course, you would know how to cite things like, I don't know, the journal, right? The year, the names, and the title of the freaking paper. Or, just a hint, you can put a DOI, a digital object identifier, which tells you what exactly that paper is and should lead to where it was peer-reviewed. But of course Donny doesn't do that. He doesn't want to. Because he's not really interested in showing the paper. He just wants to quote stuff, you know?
Jason Lyle, a PhD astrophysicist who knows this topic extremely well. We've had him on at least a couple times, both times for a couple hours each. So we've got about 3.5 to 4 hours worth of content with a PhD astrophysicist.
Yeah.
And so, Simon Dan repeats.
So you have a young Earth creationist who disagrees with the entirety of the rest of their field, and his research to say that probably hasn't been peer reviewed, right? So it's basically your own propaganda that you're putting out there. Wow.
Repeats these rescue devices as if we haven't already examined them.
Oh, look, Jess, like he would have several counts of academic misconduct if he was in university at this point. Like, seriously, this man would not make it through university. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because they will expect you to cite your site properly. And they even have a scheme of citations, either Harvard or Chicago, right? If you get that wrong, you get pulled up on it. Probably not academic misconduct, but you definitely will lose marks for citing it incorrectly. He misrepresents others' papers. He blatantly uses sources that are not from reliable journals or peer-reviewed. Oh, Donny wouldn't survive a year.
As if we've just never heard, oh, the Oort cloud, oh, the Kuiper belt. Yeah, we're aware. Okay. So The better thing for someone like Simon Dan to do is say, well, here's the Oort cloud, here's the Kuiper belt, here's how Cratius might respond, and here's how you counter their response. That would be him being comprehensive by at least 2 to 3 orders of magnitude to supply the short period comets needed for a billions of years solar system. This is not a Cratius claim. So this is not me just making a claim or making an assertion. We're substantiating it. This is openly admitted in the mainstream literature. And go have a look at the mainstream literature. And again, this is not even an argument. This is not a hill I would die on, okay?
Okay, so one of the papers that he's talking about, Volk and Malhotra, is talking about planet 10 at the edge of the solar system. They're not saying that the Oort cloud doesn't exist. They're claiming that there could be a planet causing these things to nudge bodies out into the solar system, becoming comets. Holy crap! Like seriously, misrepresentation of stuff. Seriously, Donny, that's another academic. Like we've got to score Donny like at some point. Like get an actual rubric through, like how we would score him in university, and really see, you know, whether his work would hold up under academic scrutiny. Of course it won't, because he won't actually publish anything. That's the thing. Yeah, I'm not going to read all of this like in the time I've got, but it doesn't look like this is backing Donny. So I think what he's done again is sort of taking things and conclusions that they've made, dropping the conclusions, then adding his own conclusion, which he does all the time, and then present the paper as supporting him, which it doesn't. It's called misrepresentation. Absolutely shocking. Shocking.
It's very interesting. It's fascinating. And it's even more fascinating that this is the best critics have to offer. Like, come on, if you want me to stop using the Comets argument, because again, as I've said, we've got 100 or more, easy, just in general, hundreds of good arguments. Okay. So if you want me to stop using the Comets argument, if you want Cratius to stop using the Comets argument, then at least provide some good counters. It's not like we need it. It's not a make or break thing. It's like, oh no, we can't use the Comets argument anymore. Young Earth is false. It's one of many. And it's, again, very interesting that this is the best.
It's one of many terrible arguments that you're not really doing science and basically coming to a conclusion. As I said, you've got the conclusion, you're just fitting everything to it, just working it, kneading it, trying to make it say that you're right. Terrible.
Best that the critics have to offer. Why the Kuiper belt cannot save deep time. The Kuiper belt contains far too few objects by orders of magnitude to supply what the theory demands.
Yeah, he's already said this. He's like a broken record.
Sorry, Simon.
I swear, as the more we go along, he becomes more and more Kent-like, right? Like that broken record going on and on and on about the same point, even though it doesn't make sense. Like, I swear, Donny's going to end up on a frigging, you know, theme park cult somewhere with a domestic violence charge against him, you know, trying to sell his DVDs to people. I swear, like he's becoming more and more Kent-like as he goes along. It's actually wild.
And Dan, as I said in the beginning of this video, Simon Dan tried to refute my Comet argument. It didn't go well, as we can see. So I said it didn't go.
The Kuiper belt. Like, no paper that I've seen is saying, hey, it's the wrong objects, wrong size, wrong this, wrong that. No, they're not. They're not. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But, you know, when you're that biased that you've got to make your conclusion work.
Oh, well, so I was claiming it didn't go well. I was asserting it didn't go well. Now I'm proving my claim at the beginning.
You're proving. Wow. Wow. You're proving it. Donny, you are absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. Like, you are not proving it. You're making claims. That's all.
That Dan's response to my Comet argument didn't go well. We can see that. We're exposing his rescue device.
Wow, the gaslighting. We can see that it didn't go well, right? Right? You can see that it didn't go well, right? 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 Agree with me, please. Right? 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 You know, it sounds like Trump, right? Like it does. It sounds like Trump. Oh, everyone knows that I'm the best at argumentation. Everybody knows that I absolutely demolished his argument. Oh, Donny, you absolute, like seriously, this level of insecurity, I think it's beneath you.
The word cloud, again, conclusion, has never been observed. Not a single, see, Simon Dan made this very easy.
Look at this. The deep time model needs invisible, unobserved reservoirs. The biblical model doesn't. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? What is God except for an invisible, unobserved reservoir? What is that then? Holy crap. It is the biggest, the most prevalent, invisible, unobserved repertoire. It is the unobserved and completely nothing going for it. Like, this is hilarious. Wow.
Easy for me. And the subsequent topics like magnetic field decay, preserved biomaterial in dinosaur fossils.
Yeah, how many are published on them as well, Donny? How many are published on them? Oh, 0? Yeah. Yep. 0. And then when his research gets shot down, he goes, publishes a book, and then goes, it's conspiracy. It's not conspiracy, Donny. You've got literally nothing. You've got nothing.
Soft tissue, for example. It doesn't get any better for Simon.
Soft tissue by Mary Schweitzer, with her saying, stop using that argument. Like, seriously, I don't know how much more dishonest somebody can get when you basically say, hey, this woman's research shows that there were red blood cells in Tyrannosaurus bones. And she says, no, it doesn't point to Earth being young. Stop using that argument. And you go, oh, she's in on the conspiracy, everybody. It's her research, my guy. Wow. And he's like, oh, she doesn't want to lose her job. She's not losing her job. What the hell are you talking about? It's wild. It is flat earth level arguments.
I mean, Dan, all of his arguments are,
oh, all the pilots, they don't want to lose their job, so they say that the earth is, it's the same argument. Same argument.
Just as easy to debunk, which means those,
like, Donny should just go all in on flat earth. I swear he should just go. He's more than halfway there. Like, he's so close to being a flat earth. He should he's already got the argument. Actually, that's Donny, don't. No, I rescind that. We don't need more flat earthers. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Those pieces of evidence that I provided in that video, which,
what evidence? He didn't provide any evidence. He provided nothing. Nothing. Besides, if you assume it's 6,000 years old, then this doesn't work.
which was a clip from a larger biblical creation seminar, they still stand. They,
you know what? I'm getting tired of repeating the same thing.
Sorry, Dan. You know what? Christmas time's coming up. So if you can respond and act...
They don't fit perfectly within a young creation, because these comets have trajectories that are way over the length of time it takes for the solar system to form. And you haven't provided any explanation of where they came from or why they are on this trajectory. Nothing. Nothing.
Actually provide a convincing, worthwhile, sophisticated, well thought out, something that's not just a claim or assertion. If you can provide a good...
Yeah, they're providing papers, Donny. Yes, they're providing papers to peer-reviewed journals that are backed up with physics and science and astrophysics and all of the stuff that we are doing from who you say is a philosophical group, NASA, you know, and the various astronomers around the world. They're providing that. You are providing nothing. That's the whole point. They're doing the work. You're doing butt kiss. You're just basically going, well, it's got to be young, so those comets couldn't be coming from some body that is subject to gravity. even though we see the Kuiper Belt.
Good response or good reasons for why the Comets argument is bad and why it's been debunked. Christmas is just around the corner, December 25th.
Buy my DVDs.
I'll give you the Oort Cloud and the Kuiper Belt back. No, you know what? Oort Cloud, you're never getting that back. It's completely imagined. Pure evolutionary philosophy. Kuiper Belt, you might get that back for Christmas.
Not evolution, dude. Seriously, stop saying that. You sound stupid.
Comets are not old. They are rapidly decaying objects that fit perfectly within a young creation.
They're not rapidly decaying. Certainly not the ones that are long period comets, because they only rapidly decay when they're near the sun. Some of them don't spend that long near the sun because their orbits are very, very wide. So stop saying that.
When the Kuiper Belt is too small and the Oort Cloud is invisible, the deep time model collapses.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, comets are just one thing that fits with the age of the Earth and astrophysics as we are aware of it. You know what it doesn't fit with? A magical god. Creating it out of nothing and throwing stuff around the solar system. I don't know, maybe because he has a tantrum on day 8. I don't know. Explain it. Of course he doesn't.
Simon Dan made this too fun and he made this too easy, but we still love him. That's why we love him, because he gives us a lot of fun and he gives us easy rebuttals. Secular scientists openly admit that these reservoirs don't work, but they need them anyway.
No, they don't. No, the papers that you apparently put up, they're not secular scientists. They are creationist scientists, Donny, and you had them on your channel, which sort of gives the game away, doesn't it? That you've got somebody who has been trained in the field as basically a believer in God, so they've got their conclusion, fit all the evidence to their conclusion, then you get them on like they're representing secular scientists when they're actually not. Look, misrepresentation again. You're getting a failing grade, Donny. You're failing out of Astrophysics 101. Definitely failing out.
Not going to tap out because they're so invested in believing that they're related to banana plants and strawberries, and they require billions of years for that to be true, for that fairy tale to be true, because you can't take a fish to fisherman.
No. So he has it the wrong way round, because what geologists or, naturalists doing geology back in the day found out the Earth was old first. That was first. Then Darwin came. Like, it wasn't the other way round. Okay? This is the thing. All of these conclusions are fitting in with the other conclusions from other fields. Yours fits in with exactly nothing. 0, butt kiss, nil. Nothing fits in with yours. Except for, oh, but I believe in my book. Good one.
You can't take goo to you. You can't take back
I
fossils.
Hate things.
You take away their God, their lowercase g God.
Oh, what's the god, Donny? Who are we worshipping? The Oort Cloud, as you said? Yeah, no, nobody's worshipping that. Who are we worshipping, Donny? Because you seem to have, like, these gods. I don't even think you know what one is. Like, I think he's lost all semblance of any kind of description on the world that he can coherently communicate what a god is. Like, I think he has absolutely lost the plot as to what a god is. Like some kind of transcendent being, usually held in reverence with the power to alter or ignore the laws of physics. So what is our god? Because you say, oh, it's time, it's the Oort Cloud, it's this, it's that, it's the other. No, nobody's holding that in reference. Nobody's worshipping it. Like, the same is true if I worship my coffee mug. Yeah, you can say that's a god, but it's not a god. Like, seriously, your description of your god is losing all meaning.
Time. Without time, you're not getting goo to you.
Oh, no, it's not the Oort Cloud anymore. It's time. Like, hey, while we're making crap up, let's go hog wild. Let's go hog wild. Let's just say, gravity is my god. I've heard that one from flat earthers as well, haven't I? Those flat earth comparisons are getting pretty similar, aren't they, Donny? Or the sun. Let's just worship the sun. Yeah, we know it's a massive ball of plasma, but hey, let's just call it a god anyway.
You need lots of time.
Would that make you orthodox, Lil? Would that make you orthodox?
So when you take away time, you also refute large-scale evolution. You refute the billions of years paradigm and large-scale evolution with it. That's not evidence. That's a rescue device. Here's the reality, guys. We're going to wrap up now. This video could actually act as
Oh my God, he just
the
keeps
solar
going
system are
on
billions of
and
years
on
old.
about the same
He still
thing.
hasn't demonstrated.
This is still the same thing. Like, seriously, I'm going to stop here because he's like a broken record. Look, you've got to stop watching Kent debates. Seriously, Donny, you've got to stop doing it because you're becoming a broken record. You've got nothing new to say. You just keep saying the same assertions over and over, hoping it becomes evidence. It doesn't matter how often you say it over and over. It doesn't become evidence, Donny. It doesn't. You have to actually find some tangible facts, do some kind of actual scientific observation, testing, things on it, and then present it for peer review. You're not doing anything. You're just terrible. Like, absolutely terrible. Yeah, this was a low point for Donny, and he's had some pretty big low points. You know, his kind of, I've solved the heat problem 5 times and counting, because he needs a different explanation every time, but he keeps solving it. What he doesn't do is go back and say, hey, I was wrong about this. He never admits that. Like, they'll just drop stuff. He used to use arguments that he's just dropped. Never said a word about them. If I was getting something horrendously wrong, I would go back and say, hey, I was wrong about this. That is what a honest person should do, but he's not. He just ignores it. He misrepresents papers and just ignores what they say. Just takes what the hard work that these guys have done, takes off the conclusion, puts his own on, and then acts like he's won something. That's not the conclusion of the paper. If you want to make your own conclusion, go get the data, do the research on it, present your own paper, and cite it in that paper. But what you don't get to do is cite it in that paper and then basically say, well, their paper backs mine up. No, it doesn't. And if it's not peer review, you can kick rocks, Donny. And stop this flat earth nonsense. Like, seriously. He said NASA are philosophers. Like, philosophers are sending rockets into orbit, are they? Philosophers are launching satellites with telescopes? What are you talking about? Last I knew, a school of philosophy didn't need engineers, my guy. Why do the philosophers need engineers? That is a flat earth argument. NASA's making it all up. The astronomers are the astrophysicists, they're making it all up. No, you're making it all up, Donny. Yeah, this was a low point for him. This was absolutely bad. Philosophical rockets, yeah. James Webb Telescope, that philosophical abstract object. Wow. Well, I think I'll leave it there. Look, seriously, he's starting to become that broken record. He's got to stop watching Kent Hovind. Like, okay, cover it a couple of times, really ram your point home. At the 3rd, 4th, 5th time, dude, you're just skipping a broken record at that point. And that's all you're doing. You're not actually adding evidence to the table. You're just pointing at the claim you have on the table, saying, I proved it, I proved it, I proved it, I proved it. No, you didn't. And it doesn't matter how many times how many slides you've got, how many times you go over it and over it saying, I proved it, doesn't make it so. All you're doing is just broken record again and again and again. But look, I mean, I find him just ridiculous, quite frankly. I don't hate the guy. I just think it's ridiculous. And I think that he's intellectually inconsistent. because he asks for all these things out of science that he just gives a pass to on his God. He just doesn't care. He won't debate God. Like, no way. No way. He will not debate that subject. Because he knows that he doesn't, all he'll try to do is, like a flat earther, pick at the science, trying to make it seem like there's these holes and there's these things we don't know. That is literally God of the gaps. Doesn't get to your God. Doesn't even get to a young Earth. Doesn't get to a young solar system. It doesn't. Because there could be a million other explanations. You need evidence of your own. And just saying, hey, comets lose mass over time. Yeah, but we know there's more objects out there that can turn into comets. We've seen them in the Kuiper Belt, even though your misrepresented papers don't actually say it can't happen. That's not... I can almost guarantee you that's not what they say. Like, seriously. Like, I looked through one, didn't say what he's claiming. It was from ResearchGate. He mentioned he had people on his channel saying that the solar system was young. These are not real credible people, and these are not secular papers. They are the young Earth creationists attempting to hijack science with their baseless assertions by probably, and I would, it's my opinion that they pay a lot of money to get these reputable scientists to agree with them, to just say this, oh, it's God. I don't think you should be a part of these things unless you say what you're being paid by them. Hey, I think that's the same true as for secular scientists. Any conflicts of interest you should put in your paper. That's another thing Donny would probably lose on. Conflicts of interest, things that you're biased towards, should be in the paper. Like, there is a section, if you've ever read one, if you've ever had to do one, it's like, I assert there is no conflict of interest in this paper. And, it doesn't get done as much as it should. Like, people taking money from oil companies and then doing papers against it. But that doesn't mean that they get a pass on it as well. Two people doing the wrong thing doesn't make it a right. Anyway, that's the ridiculousness of Dodgy Donny Deals. Donny Deals, the being dodgy, again and again and again. But, if I can debate him, I certainly will. I will not take his nonsense, his gish galloping, because he even started out in a video about Simon Dan going off the beat. Like, he's talking about comets and he's going off to, oh, but these halos and, the blood and all this stuff. Dude, why can't you keep on topic? It's not that hard. Oh, it's because he wants to gish gallop, so people forget the initial claims made, so he can sort of just tell them, hey, I've debunked them without actually thinking about it. Dodgy Donny Deals. Dodgy. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. This has been really good. No, I'm not doing MDD, Jess. You should know that. Definitely not. No. No, I'll get, well, yeah, I would like to kind of, I don't know. I would like Justin to do my moderation. I really would. He I said to him, you've got to be unbiased if I allow you to moderate a debate. And he's like, yes. And I think he can be. But I mean, I don't think I would be the problem. I think, any moderator, I would see them as the umpire. I've got to accept what they say. Yeah, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being here. This was a lot of fun. I'll try to bring this energy again because, I was fired up. Like, Donny's saying that I'm not answering his challenges when he's not debating. That's kind of brr. But anyway, be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. And don't take just anybody's word for it if they're not going through the process. Like, there is a process to science. You can't science without going through the methodology and the process. Okay? You can't. And they know this. The people they get on would absolutely know this. And that's something Dr. J. Bundy pointed out. They know the process. They just don't want to go through it because their assertions are unsupported. That's all. But this tact of getting a mob of people to agree with them in order to enforce their beliefs, not cool. Not cool. No, that's why we've got, RFK bringing back asbestos for some reason. This is where anti-science leads you to. So, yeah, don't anti-science. It's not great. It's not great. Anyway, do take care. I think I'm back on Embers on Saturday night Eastern Time or Sunday morning if you are in Australia. And then, yeah, I hate democracy. No, I'm in favor of democracy, but you've got to separate science from politics. Like, don't you separate science from politics? That's a really weird thing to do. Your comment makes no sense. We're informed by science. We make decisions by politics. We're informed. Australia, top of the world, absolutely. Australia on top, always. It's you people that are upside down. You people that are upside down. Anyway, do take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.